all the things that scare you about being different are what others need to see. Authenticity is so powerful because not everybody has the nerve to do it. It's scary to be yourself. If something is coming from your heart and your soul and you want to share it with the world, there is most definitely a very large chance that you're feeling that inspiration because you know that it could impact somebody else maybe. If you are putting your vulnerability or you're putting your art or your authenticity out there and you're relying on others' opinions of it to validate taking that risk, then you're just always going to be looking for their opinions or their feedback, and that can get so messy because then that will dictate whether or not you feel good about what you're doing, and it's just too much noise. Nobody can tear you down when you are grounded in what you love to do. We don't have to be so sure of ourselves. I think that yes, you definitely need to maybe be prepared to have a bit of a thick skin if you're going to put yourself out there, but at the same time, we're all just growing and learning and changing all the time, so don't feel like you need to be some tough person to start a YouTube channel. Like, no, you can be exactly who you are. Like I said, maybe you're extremely sensitive. Okay, then be that. Be exactly who you are, but be grounded in the fact that you're being exactly who you are. Don't worry about who's listening, who's watching, what are they going to say, what bad thing, what good thing. No, I was a shy kid my entire childhood. I did not have that many friends. I did not have a reason to feel confident about putting myself out there at all, but I did it because this is what I love, and that's what I'm saying. If you ground yourself in that reason, it becomes easier to block out the noise. There is always going to be somebody who cringes at you. There's always going to be somebody who hates you. Sorry, that is just the truth. You can't control other people's opinions, and you can't control how other people will see you, and if they'll cringe at you, whatever. That's part of the acceptance. The rejection didn't matter. The hate didn't matter. I don't care. I don't care because I care about this thing more than I care about the outside noise. And that's why I was saying that it's so important to ground yourself in that love that you have for that thing, because that is what will be there to save you. Hi there, everybody. I am here today to make an arrangement with you guys, as per usual, but this one is a little bit more special. Maybe not more special, but there's a special celebration behind this arrangement that we're making today. I picked out my favorite flowers in the world, hydrangeas. I have had yet to use them in an arrangement that we've made together because, I don't know, I guess I was sort of subconsciously saving it for one that I was really excited about, which is this, because we have reached 100,000 subscribers. I haven't talked about it yet. I've kind of barely processed it. I'm sure it's happened weeks prior to when you're seeing this, but I've been sort of like mentally running it through and trying to really understand what it means. 100,000 subscribers is kind of like, okay, we're already gonna start crying in the beginning of this video, but this feeling is just something that I've never experienced before. It's just such an overwhelming sense of gratitude that I have for this community and this collective that has come together through these videos, like making these arrangements. It's something that I love to do. Talking about these things is something that I'm just passionate about. I treat you guys as though I would my friend. Just the things that I think about and the conversations that I want to have, and just the fact that there are people who are willing to have those conversations with me and reflect on these things. Being able to have a peaceful experience together while we do this kind of hard introspective work, it's something that I am so grateful for. I don't even know how to express that. It's just, it is my dream come true. You have made my dream come true. And you've made 12-year-old Anaya, who started this YouTube channel, her dreams come true. Ever since I got my first camera and started running around with it and expressing myself through editing and through videos, like it's so close to my heart. And the fact that this beautiful milestone is happening is just such a blessing, and I feel so grateful. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you you for helping me create this community, and thank you for having these conversations with me. It's important to talk about these things, and of course, like, I find so much inspiration from other YouTubers who have helped me with my own mental introspection and all these things, but I sometimes have felt really isolated with this stuff that we talk about here on this channel, and I don't always see people talking about these things, and it can feel really isolating, you know, moving through life, especially at this age, and just when we're all confused about different topics. And this has been such a great outlet for my own confusion and me trying to understand myself and the world around me. So if I can help you guys do that in any way, and we can do it together, that is the dream. And we're making the dream come true. Thank you for 100,000. This is so exciting. I'm so happy to be with you guys here this morning and make this arrangement with my favorite flowers, hydrangeas. I don't know if all of you know this, but I have a hydrangea tattoo right here. I don't know if you've seen it. I saw a few comments about it. They weren't very nice, but I love my tattoo, okay? It's a little fine line hydrangea. This arrangement feels very symbolic, and I'm excited to use my favorite flowers. Also, hydrangeas are very dramatic, like me, so they need water all the time, just like fresh water. And yesterday they went without water for a little bit. They're starting to perk back up again. They perk up pretty fast once you give them water. But I wanted to chat about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and it kind of just has to do with all of this, like what I just told you guys of how I've been making YouTube videos since I was 12 years old, and it's something that I've been so passionate about. A big question that I have gotten from you guys and from people in my life that I've known throughout the past 8 years or so, it's how do you get over the fear of putting yourself out there online or just in general? Because it is 100% most definitely a risk, right? To like start a YouTube channel, or to, you know, even like post your art on Instagram or social media, or make a website, or whatever you're doing, however you're putting yourself and what is close to your heart out there. It can be really scary, and it feels like a massive risk, which it is, because of course you are opening yourself up to more opinions. There is a risk of more judgment or more praise, right? Like, you are putting yourself out into the world. Yeah, it can feel very daunting. It can feel scary. It can feel very, very vulnerable, and I know that feeling well. I've known it since I was a young girl, and I think it's something that I have just sort of gotten used to over time. But this past week, since this 100,000 subscribers thing has happened, it got me reflecting a little bit on how I've maintained a certain mindset when I've put myself out there. And I was just thinking about like how I do that, and like where I learned that, and how that sort of confidence was formed when I started putting myself out on the internet. I've never really talked about it in depth, and I've never really thought about it in depth until now. The first thing that I'm gonna say, I know that it sounds a little cheesy, we've all heard it before, be yourself, but I want you to understand how much power there is in authenticity. Being authentic to who you are is your key to success. And let me tell you why. With social media, we are all constantly comparing ourselves. That's how trends go around. Everybody is buying the same piece of clothing, getting the same type of surgery, whatever it is. Like, we're all trying to meet up to this standard. But if you really think about it, all the media that I consume and that I appreciate, and the artists that I love, and the creators that I love, all have something in common. And it's that they are authentic to themselves. They're bringing something new to the table. It's something original because it is them. I appreciate artists and creators who are being 100% themselves, because they are bringing something original and fresh. We're all so unique. The person that you are is unlike anybody else. And I think a lot of the time social media trains us to feel very scared of that, and that we should all look the same, be the same. Like, it just really freaks me out. Like, everybody trying to achieve the same body type and the same type of aesthetic or whatever, and it's just like, it's not refreshing to see that. I want to see somebody who's bringing their authentic ideas or personality or their own original perspective to the world. Like, that is what I want to see, and that's what I appreciate. It is really exciting and refreshing. Wherever you come from, whatever your story is, whatever you want, your dream, it's all unique to you, and that that is so exciting. And being able to share that with the world, it feels scary, especially if you feel like maybe there aren't people exactly like you and maybe you're taking a risk putting yourself out there. But all the things that scare you about being different are what others need to see. People need, I know I've said this before, but people need somebody to look up to. People need somebody to see themselves in. And I think that bringing your own authenticity, your own heart, brings a beautiful opportunity for others to connect to you in ways that maybe they don't always feel like they're seen, or maybe in ways that they feel like they're different. It's such a brave and courageous thing to do, to be authentic in a place like the internet or social media that is full of so much comparison and so much trying to be like each other. I can't tell you enough how much power there really is in being true to yourself and truly being authentic and trying something different and going about something in a different way, or doing something that's a little bit scary to you. And I have had my insecurities over the years that have made me feel as though I will never add up to whatever it is that I'm wanting, or whatever field I want to get into, or whatever industry I want to step into. I have made so many excuses in my head, like, okay, well, I don't come from this, so I can't do that, or I don't have enough of this, or I'm lacking that, or I feel like I'm too much of this or too much of that. But at the end of the day, I have to remember, oh, okay, those things that I'm insecure about, and I'm insecure about them because they look different than other people, those are things that actually set me apart. And that's why I said it's kind of cheesy, right? Because we've always heard the message of be yourself, there's nobody like you, but it is so true. And the thing that made me think of authenticity is, yes, being yourself, but also having your interests. Don't feel like you need to be like anybody else, or you need to copy anybody else. Of course, like, taking inspiration is amazing. Being inspired by other creators or artists, or knowing the things that you like, but making it your own. Whatever it is that inspires you and makes you happy, just involve yourself in that. Find your authenticity in all of the things that bring you joy. Just for example, because I'm celebrating my channel and this 100K, all of my vlogs and the videos that I've made since I was young, like, that is my authentic part. That's my perception of the world. But my perception and my creations are all inspired really by my favorite songs or my favorite movies or whatever. Like, I take the inspiration from the things that bring me excitement and joy, and I make it my own. And that's what I encourage anybody who's thinking of starting their own YouTube channel or putting their stuff out there, is just know that whatever brings you joy and how you choose to make that your own and put it out into the world, that's powerful. Your originality, your authenticity, the thing that sets you apart from everybody else, maybe the things that you were insecure about once, that is what makes you shine. And that's what's going to set you apart. And that's what's going to help others find you who maybe were struggling with the same things, or who maybe have similar insecurities. People can sense originality, and it is refreshing. Let me tell you, it is just nice to see somebody being themselves, doing what they love. I'm inspired whenever I see people taking a risk and showing their true style and their true heart and love and talent. Like, that is what the world needs more of. I just really encourage everybody who is scared to put themselves out there, like, what are those things making you afraid? Yeah, maybe they do set you apart, but they will set you apart for the better once you continue to embrace those things. And I know that it's easier said than done, but authenticity is so powerful because not everybody has the nerve to do it. It's scary to be yourself sometimes. It's scary to actually put yourself out there, your heart. You have a lot to offer with all the things that set you apart and make you who you are, is what I'm trying to say. It can be very scary, and that's why not everybody does it. That's why not everybody wants to be authentic and vulnerable, and that's okay. Like, you don't need to share that with the world. But I'm just talking to the people who do have something that is inspiring them, that they want to get out there, and something that they want to present to the world, but they're feeling maybe a little bit too afraid of taking that risk. That's who I'm talking to. If you are feeling that push, and there is something that you want to share with the world, and you do have a talent that you want to put out there, and there's part of you that does want to take that risk. I don't know what it is, starting a YouTube channel, going on auditions, whatever it is, putting yourself out there. You are being inspired for a reason. I know that any artist watching me will understand that, like, no matter how much you try to push down or distract yourself, the thing that you want to create or continue to pursue, or your creations don't allow you to live peacefully until you express them. At least that, has been my experience, and other people around me that I've observed who do different forms of art. You're not living unless you're doing what your purpose is. If I'm not writing, I'm not, I know it sounds dramatic, but I don't feel like I'm living authentically. I don't feel like I'm expressing myself in my true form. I don't feel like I am using all of my senses. If you are thinking about putting yourself out there, you are having that inspiration for a reason. I just want you to know it's very, very, very special to have that inspiration. It's a sacred thing to want to create something and share it with others. And that inspiration is something that we need to cherish and that we need to listen to and respect, because all the things that I write about, I create them because it is how I express myself. But there's another layer to it too. I am inspired to share it with others because there's a part of me that knows I created this thing out of inspiration, therefore maybe it could inspire somebody else. There's so much power in that little inkling in the back of your head that's saying, put this out into the world, like share this, let's continue to explore this and pursue this. That little voice, that inspiration that's like glowing in your heart. Maybe you're too afraid to make that next step, but you have that inspiration and that knowing there that what you're making needs to be shared with the world, or that you want to share it with the world. If something is coming from your heart and your soul and you want to share it with the world, there is most definitely a very large chance that you're feeling that inspiration because you know that it could impact somebody else. Maybe I know that's how I felt with my writing. Like, I create it because I have to, like that is my form of self-expression, but I want to give it to the world because maybe there's somebody out there who felt a similar way. Maybe they didn't know how to articulate it, but because I wrote it and took the risk to share it, they can connect with it. Whatever it is that you have to give and that you are inspired by and that you are creating in yourself and that you want to share, you're feeling inspired to share it for a reason, and you're gonna have to trust that inspiration, because we'll get to more in a second. But your work and your authenticity and your heart could impact other people. And that inspiration is telling you that and giving you that inkling that maybe this is a risk that you should take. Maybe you should share your heart and what you love to do with the world. Maybe it needs that. Maybe somebody else needs to see it. Of course, like, we don't do it for just that reason. You do it because you love it, and that's what matters at the end of the day. That's something that I actually got a little bit thrown off with at first. I'll be real with you guys. Like, when I saw that more of you were watching my channel, I freaked out a little bit at first. I was like, oh my god, I was not expecting that. Like, I part of me knew, like, of course that was my intention. Like, I wanted to share my thoughts and I wanted to put it out there for people to see. But when that actually started to happen, the alarm started going off of, okay, like, should I keep doing this? How do I keep going? How do I keep moving forward? Over a period of many weeks, I really had to just try to ground myself and say, okay, look, yes, people are listening, but nothing has really changed. This is what I love to do. This is what I would be doing. Even if a camera wasn't here, I'd probably just be talking to myself, making these arrangements, right? Because it's something that I love to do. Making YouTube videos is something that I love to do, and that's what matters. Of course, it's beautiful to get to impact and inspire people with your authenticity and whatever, like, of course, but I think that that's more of an effect at the end of the day, and that's something beautiful that can happen. But the foundation is you and what you love to do. That's what matters. That is your lifeline. That is what you have to come back to at the end of the day. That's what grounds you. A lot of the time people want to put themselves out there so that maybe they can be seen or that they can impact people, and that's sort of maybe their first intention, and that is kind of what I would disagree with. I don't think we should ever be putting ourselves and taking that risk of putting our vulnerable authenticity out there into the world if our intention is that we want to be seen and we want numbers. Like, I don't think that anything good can really come from that at the end of the day, because let's say you do reach that and you do get numbers and people are seeing what you're putting out there. If that's driving your creations, then maybe that works for some people, but I personally think that a more sustainable, peaceful way of going about it is making sure that you're doing it for no other reason besides that you love doing this thing and you want to share that that with the world because yes, maybe somebody can be inspired, but because you are about this thing. You love this thing. This is you. Like we said before, this is your authentic self, your heart, and nothing can take that away from you at the end of the day. Because yes, people can see what you're doing and people can be inspired by it, but people can also be really nasty. People can shoot you down. People can hate on you. And if you are putting your vulnerability or you're putting your art or your authenticity out there and you're relying on others' opinions of it to validate taking that risk, then you're just always going to be looking for their opinions or their feedback, and that can get so messy because then that will dictate whether or not you feel good about what you're doing, and it's just too much noise, right? And so I think that if you always stay grounded in the fact that no, this has been your passion, this is your passion, this is what you love, and you just happen to be sharing it now with others or putting yourself out there, that's the place to be. That's the place to continue to go back to and continue to ground yourself in. If you can have that, then nobody can take that away from you and nobody can tear you down when you are grounded in what you love to do. We don't have to be so sure of ourselves. I think that yes, you definitely need to maybe be prepared to have a bit of a thick skin if you're going to put yourself out there, but at the same time, we're all just growing and learning and changing all the time, so don't feel like you need to be some tough person to start a YouTube channel. Like, no, you can be exactly who you are. Like I said, maybe you're extremely sensitive. Okay, then be that. Be exactly who you are, but be grounded in the fact that you're being exactly who you are. Be grounded in the fact that you're doing what you love and that you are special in your own unique way. Be who you are and let the rest happen. Don't worry about who's listening, who's watching, what are they going to say, what bad thing, what good thing. No, it is beautiful to take the chance of putting yourself out there to inspire others, but stay grounded in what you love and who you are. And I promise you that will take you far. Don't give others the power to dictate why you're doing what you're doing. Always be grounded in the fact that it is what you love, regardless if you're sharing it with the world or not. I was in middle school when I started my YouTube channel, and I think we all know that middle school is a gnarly time to be alive. At least in my experience, that was probably some of the hardest chapters of my childhood and upbringing, whether that had to do with bullying, gossip, drama, comparison, jealousy, being vulnerable with myself and my creations and putting that out there in the midst of also experiencing that in school and in real life was just kind of a mess. Not a mess. It was something that was scary. It was definitely a risk in all forms because I knew that people at my school could watch my YouTube channel and I already wasn't very liked by anyone except for my few close friends. It was definitely the definition of a risk, right? To be going through that scary, vulnerable period. And then also trying to make YouTube videos. It was very scary and I knew that I was putting myself at risk. Accept that you are taking a risk. You're taking a risk, and taking risks is scary. It's vulnerable. It can be messy. It can be life-changing. Risks are uncomfortable. And we talk all about that on this channel, don't we? That doing the things that sometimes can bring us so much fulfillment and reward at the end of the day require a leap of faith. It requires a risk, and that's not always the fun part. Accepting the fact that it's scary helps a little bit, and just know that anyone that you're seeing on the big screen in your favorite movie, or any author that you're reading, or anybody who has made a work of art that is open to the public is putting themselves at risk. They're putting their ideas at risk. They're putting their talents and vulnerability and authenticity at risk. Like we said, not everybody wants to take that risk, and that is fine. But if you are feeling inspired to move in that direction and to share more of yourself with the outside world, then it's definitely important to accept that yes, it is a risk, and many others have also taken that risk. So just know you're not alone in that, and you're not alone in that fear. It's a very scary thing to do, and I feel like everyone has their own way of dealing with it, but I guess one of my little tips would be try not to obsess over. It's kind of, I feel like I can't really give advice like that. Like, try not to obsess, because I know it's so much easier said than done, but I just try to ground myself in that, okay, this is what I love. This is what I want to create regardless of who's seeing it. I am making this because I love this, and I'm going to separate myself from the noise and just focus on this and ground myself in the fact that I love this thing and that I love it so much that I want to share it. Having this YouTube channel, I do feel scared sometimes. I feel like I can't control who is watching me. I can't control with what they do with that and their perception of me. I have no control over it. But because I have no control over it, I feel like I'm sort of able to accept that and let it go and understand, yeah, I am putting myself at risk, but all I can control is what I am creating and what I love and what I'm putting out there. I can't control the opinions. I feel like I did apply, especially when I was younger, I did sort of have a healthy level of disassociation from that. Like, I loved what I was doing. I put it out there and I just kind of blocked out the noise as much as I could. I'm happy because then once I got a bit older, I found out that people were actually a lot more mean than I had realized at the time. But I'm glad that I found out after the fact, because I didn't really care as much after I'd gotten older. My skin got a little thicker. But at the time when I was a kid, yes, I definitely disassociated myself from what others might be saying and just focused on the passion. And that's still what I'm trying to do to this day, but I think I formed that ability at a young age because of this YouTube channel, and that'll do it to you. It'll kind of force you to be like, okay, I just have to do this without caring what anybody has to say. And talking about this is making me realize how far I have come throughout the journey and how I did start as a very vulnerable, scared child. There is no reason why I would put myself out there like that or take a risk like that if I didn't love what I was doing. I would never have done it. I was a shy kid my entire childhood. I did not have that many friends. I did not have a reason to feel confident about putting myself out there at all. But I did it because this is what I love. And that's what I'm saying. If you ground yourself in that reason, it becomes easier to block out the noise. And it becomes easier to accept that you're making a risk because you're doing it for something that you love and that you want to share because you love it. And the people that I was inspired by who were taking a risk, I was inspired because they took that risk. I would have never gotten to have my favorite YouTubers or my favorite filmmakers or authors or anything unless they took that risk. And so I think that can be inspiring too, is realizing that, okay, the people we love have taken this risk. Okay, you know what, maybe I can do it too, and I'm grateful that they took that risk, and maybe someone will be grateful one day that I took that risk. But taking that risk is easier when you know that you can ground yourself in the reason that you're doing it all, which is for yourself and for the love of this thing that you have and that you want to continue to grow in and share with the world. It's powerful to have a passion, it's powerful to have authenticity, and that is the thing to hold on to in all of these scary, vulnerable moments. So something that I was talking about with my friend, actually, she has so many passions and things that she wants to share with the world, but she was talking to me about how, yeah, she has those passions, but she's scared to actually take that risk and put herself out there because it's so vulnerable and it's scary to put yourself out there for you feel like fresh meat sometimes. I know, especially as women too, like putting ourselves out there to get sexualized, judged, hated on. Like, people hate women, we know that. Putting yourself out there as anybody is very scary. Like, she'll make something out of her own passion and love, but then when she watches it back to upload it, she starts to cringe. I know that whenever I make things or I make these YouTube videos, I can't watch them again. I don't watch them again. Like, I edit these for a long time because I'm talking so much, and then I put them out into the world and I never watch them again because I would be cringing myself to tears if I was watching my videos. Because yeah, when you make something, you're in the moment and you're excited and you love it, but then watching it again, putting yourself in the perspective of somebody else watching it, that is when things get really cringe. And I understand. I can't say too much about that because we all need to just sort of trust ourselves and use our own level of discernment of what we feel comfortable enough with putting out there on the internet or whatever. There is always going to be somebody who cringes at you. There's always going to be somebody who hates you. Sorry, that is just the truth. If there are parts of my brain that cringe at myself and that don't really like me, then there are going to be other people who feel the exact same way, and they're going to feel very strongly about it for some reason. That's part of accepting the risk of putting yourself out there on the internet, especially. There are unhappy people who spend their time bringing others down. That's their hobby. That's their passion, is finding people to hate on the internet. I would be lying if I didn't say that that was a big part of the risk, is subjecting yourself to others' opinions that definitely can be negative. That's part of what makes this such a vulnerable thing to do, is you can't control other people's opinions, and you can't control how other people will see you, and if they'll cringe at you, whatever. That's part of the acceptance. Yeah, okay, well, I love this thing so much that I'm gonna do it anyways. Or yeah, I was really happy when I filmed this, and I am maybe cringing watching it back, but like, I meant all these things. I mean, that's how I feel literally. I know Anaya, who is editing right now, is probably feeling that way. Let's give her a wave. She, every time I edit my videos, I'm like, ugh, like when I watch myself, of course I feel good about it. I feel good about the message I'm trying to deliver, but it's a weird thing. It's a weird, like, I don't really know if it has to do with the ego or what, like just kind of seeing yourself and putting yourself out there, it can feel very uncomfortable. So just know that all the people we've looked up to have taken that risk, despite the haters, despite the judgment and the cringe that will come with it. It's just, you got to do it anyway. Of course, you want to feel confident with what you're putting out there, but that other little voice that chimes in that is like, oh, you're actually really cringe and people are going to cringe at you. I think we all have that voice, and it is there to try and keep us safe from that and try to keep us safe from judgment and the possibility of getting judged. But in my opinion, I think it's just kind of a waste of time. It's important to have discernment in how you want to come across to the world, but also just know that there's always going to be somebody who's going to say you're cringe. If I'm speaking to anybody right now who is still in school, or maybe you're a college student, maybe you're in middle school, I don't know, maybe you're in high school, whatever, and there is a community of people around you kind of watching what you're doing, I understand. I've been there. You're having this inspiration for a reason, and I think that this can be an opportunity to trust yourself and to, like we said earlier, kind of strengthen that ability to do something because you love it, and to trust that enough despite the outside noise. Just like there are people who will hate on you online, there are people that could hate on you in real life, but I have found it to be very much worth it. I'm so grateful that the people that I look up to took that risk and put themselves at risk to be bullied and to be hated on, and oh, maybe they were cringe, but they took that risk because they believed in something and they were inspired by something, and I keep referring to these flowers, but like they loved something so much and they were passionate about something so much that it didn't matter. The rejection didn't matter. The hate didn't matter. I don't care because I care about this thing more than I care about the outside noise. And that's why I was saying that it's so important to ground yourself in that love that you have for that thing, because that is what will be there to save you. That is what will be there to catch you when people are hating on you. That's what's going to be there when you feel vulnerable and when you feel scared and when you realize you are taking a risk. That love and that passion will be there to catch you. What I would say to somebody who is feeling inspired to share what they love to do, to put themselves out there on social media or start a YouTube channel or to make videos or share their photography, I don't know, whatever it is, take that leap of faith, take that risk, and believe that the reason you were inspired is enough. It is enough to love something. Oh God, now I'm gonna cry. But it is enough to love something. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years, and yes, it's amazing that I have you guys now to listen to me, but I would still be doing it regardless, and I was doing it regardless, and I will continue to do it regardless. Take that risk, take that leap of faith. I'm so grateful that I have this platform and that we've been able to build this together, and that I can continue to build it with you guys. But also, I'll continue to do it anyways because I love to do it. I love my camera. I love experiencing the world around me. I love writing. I love flowers. That's never going to change. And I'm so happy that I've gotten to share it with the world. But yeah, it is a risk and it is scary. And there are people who don't like me in real life and online, and that's okay. That is fine. That's always going to exist too. And I really want to thank you guys for showing me that the risk was worth it. That is just something so okay. Great. Right. Yeah. I'm just so grateful that you guys have shown me that. And I hope that you can find it in you to believe in yourself just enough to take that risk too. And none of us are born confident and ready to be received by the world. Like, it is scary. It is something that is not easy. I promise you, that tiny inkling of inspiration or that passion that you have, use that as the thing that grounds you while you're taking this risk. Use that as the thing to fall back on, because that is you, and that is your passion, and that's what you love, and that is what matters, and that is what sets you apart. And I am just so proud of anybody watching this who has believed in themselves enough to continue to fuel their passions. And if you're deciding that maybe you're gonna share that with the world, then I'm just sending you so much love on your journey. I know it's scary, but just know that you are not alone. You will never be alone, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you for just doing what you love in general and knowing what that is and having that passion and that inspiration, and that is enough. And if you want to take the risk of sharing it with the world, then I will be here to support you. A whole community is here to support you, and I am very, very proud of you. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just know that we are on this journey together. And thank you for having this conversation with me, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.